Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair on the bridge of Terra's Pride. The ship moved slowly through space, near the edge of human territory. Jake had been a space captain for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, we're still getting nothing," said Lieutenant Amy Davis from her position at the communication station. "No signals from any alien worlds, no trade ships, no messages at all." Jake rubbed his tired eyes. It had been 3 months since the silence began. 3 months since every alien species in the galaxy stopped talking to humans. The Zephyrians, who had traded with Earth for 20 years, went quiet first. Then the crystalline beings stopped sending their beautiful light messages. Even the ancient Void Walkers, who rarely spoke but always listened, had gone silent. "Keep trying," Jake told Amy. "Send the standard greeting on all frequencies." Dr. Sam Rodriguez walked onto the bridge. He looked worried, which was not unusual these days. Sam studied alien life forms for the government. He knew more about other species than almost any human alive. "Captain, I've been looking at the data again," Sam said. "This isn't random. All the alien species stopped communicating at exactly the same time, down to the second." Jake turned in his chair to face the scientist. "What does that mean?" "It means they planned this. They all agreed to cut us off together." A bridge fell quiet. Everyone knew that humans were the newest members of the galactic community. Earth had only made contact with aliens 50 years ago. Humans were still learning how to travel between stars when other species had been doing it for thousands of years. "Maybe they're having a meeting we weren't invited to," suggested Lieutenant Tom Baker from the weapons station. "For 3 months?" Amy shook her head. "That's not a meeting. That's abandonment." Admiral Lisa Blake's face appeared on the main screen. She was calling from Earth Command, the military headquarters that protected human space. Lisa looked tired and stressed. "Jake, I need you to check something," she said. "We just lost contact with Outpost 7. They were monitoring the alien trade station in the Kepler system." "Lost contact how?" Jake asked. "They stopped answering our calls 2 days ago. We sent a probe. The outpost is still there, but no one is responding." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Outpost 7 had 50 humans working there. They were good people, trained soldiers and scientists. "We're heading there now," Jake said. "Be careful, Jake. Something isn't right about any of this." The screen went dark. Jake turned to his pilot. "Set course for the Kepler system. Best speed." "Lieutenant." Carol White, the ship's pilot, worked quickly at her controls. "Course set, Captain. We'll be there in 6 hours." As Terra's Pride jumped to faster-than-light speed, Jake walked to the observation deck. Through the big windows, he could see the stars stretching into lines as the ship moved between them. Sam joined him at the window. "I've been thinking about why they would all leave at once," the scientist said. "And in nature, when all the animals run away from an area at the same time, it usually means something dangerous is coming." Jake didn't like that idea. What could be dangerous enough to scare every alien species in the galaxy? "I don't know, but I think we're about to find out." 6 hours later, Terra's Pride arrived at the Kepler system. Jake stood on the bridge, looking at the main screen. The alien trade station was still there, floating in space like a giant crystal flower. But something was wrong. "I'm not reading any life signs," Amy reported. "The station is completely empty." "What about our outpost?" Jake asked. "Outpost 7 is fine. All systems working. But nobody is answering our calls." Jake made a decision. "Prepare a shuttle. I'm going over there." "Sir, that might not be safe," Tom said. "Those are our people, Tom. We don't leave our people behind." Jake took a team of 6 Marines with him to the outpost. They docked with the small space station and walked through the airlock. The lights were on. and the air was good, but the place felt empty. They found the 50 crew members in the main room. They were all sitting at their stations, but they weren't moving. They weren't dead, but they weren't really alive either. Their eyes were open, but they stared at nothing. "Medical emergency," Jake said into his radio. "We need Dr. Martinez over here right away." Dr. Carol Martinez was Terra's Pride's doctor. She arrived quickly and examined the crew members. "They're in some kind of coma," she said. "Their bodies are fine, but their minds are gone." In the center of the room, they found a small device that hadn't been there before. It was made of black metal and had strange symbols carved into it. It was broadcasting a message on repeat. Amy worked to translate the message. The device spoke in the language of the Zephyrians, then the crystalline beings, then languages Jake had never heard before. "I've got it," Amy said after an hour of work. Her face was white with fear. "The message says, 'The Devourers wake. Save yourselves.'" "We cannot." Jake looked around at his team. Everyone was scared now. The alien species hadn't abandoned humans out of anger or politics. They had run away from something terrible. And they had left this message as a warning. "Pack up everything," Jake ordered. "We're leaving, now." As Terra's Pride flew away from the empty station, Jake sent a message to Admiral Blake. "Lisa, we have a problem. A big problem. The aliens didn't just leave us. They ran away from something called the Devourers. And whatever these things are, they're coming." Back on Earth, Lisa Blake sat in her command center, reading Jake's report. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations, trying to contact any alien species that might still be listening. "Ma'am," said Colonel Pete Johnson, her second in command, "we just detected something at the edge of our sensor range. Ships, big ones. And they're not human." Lisa stood up slowly. "Are they alien ships we know?" "No, ma'am. These are something else. Something new." Lisa looked at the star map on the big screen. The unknown ships were coming from outside the galaxy, from the dark. Space between the stars. And they were heading toward human space. "Send a message to all human colonies," she said. "Tell them to prepare for the worst. And get me every ship we have. We're going to need them all." Far away, in the darkness between galaxies, ancient minds that had slept for millions of years were waking up. They were hungry, and they had found a new galaxy to feed on. The Devourers were coming, and this time there was nowhere left to run. Marine Commander Kate Sullivan stood at the edge of the ancient ruins, looking up at the massive stone structures that reached toward the sky. She had been a soldier for 12 years, but she had never seen anything that made her feel so small. "This place gives me the creeps," said Sergeant Mike Torres, adjusting his weapon. "Why did the aliens tell us never to come here?" "Because they were scared of it," Kate replied. "Just like they were scared of everything else." Dr. Alex Turner was already working near the largest building, running his hands over the strange symbols carved into the black stone. Alex was the best language expert in human space. If anyone could figure out what these symbols meant, it was him. "Kate, you need to see this." Alex called out. Kate walked over to where Alex was standing. The symbols on the wall were glowing with a soft blue light. They seemed to move and change as she watched them. "These aren't just decorations," Alex said. "They're warnings." The same message repeated over and over in dozens of different languages. Some of these languages are so old, I don't think anyone has spoken them for millions of years. "What do they say?" Kate asked. Alex pointed to a section of the wall. "This part talks about the hunger from the void, something that comes from outside the galaxy to feed. It says the Devourers have come before, many times. Engineer Paul Watson joined them. Paul was good at fixing things and figuring out how alien technology worked. He had his scanner in his hand, and it was beeping rapidly. "There's something big underground," Paul said. "Really big, like a whole city buried under this place." Kate made a decision. "We're going down there. Alex, keep working on those symbols. Paul, find us a way inside. Mike, get the rest of the team ready." They found an entrance hidden behind a wall of fallen rocks. Paul used his tools to clear the way, and they went down into the darkness. There, lights showed long hallways made of the same black stone as the surface buildings. The underground complex was huge. Room after room stretched out in all directions. Most of them were empty, but some contained machines that Paul said were older than human civilization. "Look at this," Paul said, standing in front of a wall covered with crystal screens. "This is some kind of control room, but I can't figure out how to turn it on." Alex was studying more symbols on the walls. "These ones are different," he said. "They're not warnings. They're instructions. How to use something called the Guardian Network." "Guardian Network?" Kate asked. "Defense systems, weapons. This whole place was built to fight the Devourers." Suddenly, the crystal screens lit up. Paul jumped back in surprise. "I didn't touch anything," he said. The screens showed images of space, but not any space Kate recognized. She saw massive ships that looked like they were made of living shadow, moving between the stars. Wherever they went, planets went dark and empty. "That's them," Alex whispered. "The Devourers." The images changed. Now they showed different scenes. Huge weapons firing from hidden bases on dead worlds. Beams of light that could destroy entire fleets. And in the center of it all, beings that looked almost human operating the weapons. "Paul, can you make sense of this?" Kate asked. Paul was already working at one of the control panels. His hands moved over the strange symbols, and more. Screens came to life. "This is incredible," he said. "This whole planet is one giant weapon. There are others too, all connected somehow. A network of defense stations all across this part of the galaxy. Why didn't the aliens use them?" Mike asked. Alex found the answer on another wall. "Because they can't," he said. "Look at this. The symbols say the weapons only work for the children of the builders. And these pictures show the builders." Kate looked at the images Alex was pointing to. The beings in the pictures had 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that looked familiar. They looked human. "That's impossible," Paul said. "Humans only reached space 50 years ago." "Maybe not," Alex said quietly. "Maybe we've been in space before." The screens changed again. This time they showed a planet covered with green forests and blue oceans. Kate realized she was looking at Earth, but not the Earth she knew. This Earth had cities made of crystal and metal, and ships that moved between the stars like birds. "Our planet," she said, "but different." The images told. Story. Long ago, humans had been part of a great civilization called the Precursors. They had built the Guardian Network to protect the galaxy from the Devourers. But something had gone wrong. The images showed humans choosing to give up their technology and return to a simple life on Earth. They knew the Devourers would come. "Back," Alex said. "So they made sure someone would be here to stop them." "Us." Paul was working frantically at the controls. "Kate, I'm getting signals from other stations. The whole network is trying to wake up. But it needs human operators. Real humans, not just anyone." "How many stations?" Kate asked. "Hundreds, maybe thousands, all across human space and beyond." Kate's radio crackled to life. It was Captain Morrison from Terra's Pride. "Kate, we're getting reports from all our colonies. Unknown ships are entering our space. Big ones. And they're not responding to any communications." Kate looked at the screens showing the Devourer ships. They looked exactly like the ones in the ancient images. "Jake, how long do we have?" she asked. Our best guess is maybe 2 weeks before they reach the inner colonies. Kate made the hardest decision of her life. Paul, can you activate this station? I think so, but Kate, the instructions say it requires a human operator to link with the system permanently. Whoever does it won't be coming back. Kate looked around at her team. These were good people, brave people. They had families back on Earth and the other colonies. I'll do it, she said. No, said Mike. This is my job, too. Mine as well, added Paul. Alex nodded. We all knew this mission might be dangerous. Kate felt proud of her team, but also sad. Let's see what one station can do first. Maybe we won't need all of them. Paul began the activation sequence. The whole underground complex began to hum with power. Lights came on throughout the vast halls, and the crystal screens showed star maps with hundreds of points marked in red. It's working, Paul said. The station is coming online. And Kate, you need to see this. The main screen now showed there. Solar system. The Devourer ships were closer than Captain Morrison had thought. Much closer. They're already here, Kate said. Call Admiral Blake. Tell her the Guardian network is real, and we're about to find out if it still works after all. These years. On the screen, they watched as the first Devourer ship entered Earth's solar system. It was massive, bigger than any human city, and it was heading straight for the outer colonies. But now the Guardian network was awake, deep under the ancient ruins. Paul placed his hands on the control interface. He looked at Kate one last time. If this works, tell my family I was proud to serve, he said. It's going to work, Kate said, and you can tell them yourself when we get home. But even as she said it, Kate knew that Paul was right. The ancient instructions were clear. Operating the Guardian network required a human mind to merge with the system. Paul would become part of the weapon, but he would no longer be Paul. As Paul activated the interface, light flowed from the controls into his body. His eyes began to glow with the same blue light as the symbols on the walls. Above them, hidden, weapons that had slept for millions of years began to power up. The galaxy's ancient guardians were waking up, and this time they wouldn't run away. President Maria Santos stood in the Situation Room deep under the government buildings in Washington. Around her, the most important people in human space were watching the big screens that showed the approaching Devourer fleets. How many ships? Maria asked Admiral Lisa Blake. At least 300 that we can see, Lisa replied. But our sensors show there might be more hiding behind them. Each ship is bigger than our largest space station. Commander Ben Carter, who led humanity's biggest war fleet, stepped forward. Madam President, we have 47 ships ready to fight. Against 300 Devourer vessels, we don't stand a chance. Maria looked at the faces around her. These were brave people, but she could see the fear in their eyes. The human race had never faced anything like this. What about the Guardian network that Commander Sullivan found? Maria asked. Chief Science Officer Nina Brooks spoke up. Nina was the smartest person Maria knew, and if anyone could figure out their options, it was her. We've activated 12 stations so far, Nina said. Each one requires a human volunteer to operate it. Once they link with the system, they become part of the network forever. Forever? Maria asked. Their consciousness merges with the ancient computers. They can still think and communicate, but their bodies become part of the machine. It's not death, but it's not life as we know it either. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. To operate enough Guardian stations to fight the Devourers, hundreds of humans would have to sacrifice their normal lives. A new voice came from the communication system. It was speaking in the musical language of the Zephyrians, but the computer translated it into English. Humans of Earth, the voice said. This is Fleet Commander Zara of the Zephyrian refugee fleet. We offer you safe passage to the Andromeda Galaxy. Our ships can carry your entire population to safety." More voices joined in. The crystalline beings offered shelter in their hidden dimensions. The Void Walkers spoke of secret paths between the stars that led far from the Devourers. "We have 1 hour to decide," the Zephyrian voice continued. "After that, we must leave. The Devourers will be here soon." Commander Carter looked hopeful. "Madam President, this might be our only chance. We could save everyone." But Dr. Alex Turner, who had been studying the precursor ruins, spoke up from his location on the ancient planet. "President Santos, I've found something important in the ruins. The precursors didn't just build the Guardian network. They were humans, our ancestors." "That's impossible," Carter said. "Humans only developed space travel 50 years ago." "No," Alex replied. "Humans developed space travel millions of years ago. Then we chose to give it up and start over." The inscriptions tell the whole story. On the screens, images appeared from the ancient ruins. They showed Earth as it had been long ago, with crystal cities and ships that moved between the stars. They showed humans building the Guardian network across the galaxy. Why would they give up all that technology? Maria asked. Nina Brooks had been studying the data. Because they knew the Devourers would return. The precursors realized that advanced civilizations attract the Devourers. So they decided to regress, to become simple farmers and hunters, and wait. "Wait for what?" Lisa asked. "For the time when the galaxy would need guardians again," Alex said. "The Guardian network was designed specifically for human minds. Not just any human minds, but the minds of humans who had to struggle and grow and learn to be strong." More images appeared on the screens. They showed the Guardian network in action, fighting off Devourer invasions. The weapons were incredibly powerful, but they required something the aliens didn't have. "The aliens can't operate the network," Nina said. "Their minds work differently. They're too peaceful, too logical. The Guardian system needs human emotions, human determination, human stubbornness." Maria looked around the room. "You're saying we're the only ones who can stop them?" "Yes," Alex said. "And the precursors knew it. That's why they left Earth alone for all these years. That's why the aliens never tried to change us too much. They were waiting for us to be ready." The Zephyrian voice came through the speakers again. "Humans, you have 30 minutes to decide. Please be reasonable. The Devourers cannot be fought." Maria made the hardest decision any human leader had ever made. She activated the communication system that would broadcast to all human colonies and ships. "People of Earth and the colonies," she said, "we have been offered a chance to run away, to abandon our home and find safety in distant galaxies. The alien species that were our friends have told us this is our only choice." She paused, looking at each person in the room. "But we have learned something today. We are not just another species in this galaxy. We are its guardians. Our ancestors built defenses against the Devourers millions of years ago, then chose to start over so that we could be strong enough to use those defenses when the time came." On screens across human space, people watched their president make the announcement that would change everything. "The time has come. The Devourers are here, and we are the only ones who can stop them. It will require sacrifice. Hundreds of our people will need to merge with the Guardian network. They will become something more than human, but also something less." Maria's voice grew stronger. "To our alien friends who offered us safety, we say thank you, but no. This is our galaxy too. We will not run. We will not hide. We will stand and fight, because that is what humans do." She turned to the military leaders around her. "Admiral Blake, prepare every ship we have. Commander Carter, I know you wanted to evacuate, but I need you to lead our fleet. We're going to buy time for the Guardian network to fully activate. "Yes, Madam President," Carter said. Maria could see that he was scared, but also proud. "Nina, coordinate with all the Guardian stations. Find every volunteer we need. Alex, keep studying those ruins. There might be more we can learn." As the meeting ended, the Zephyrian message came one final time. "Humans, this is madness. You cannot win." Maria activated the reply system. "Fleet Commander Zara, thank you for the offer, but we're staying. And when we win, you're all welcome to come back. This galaxy has room for everyone, but it needs protectors who won't run when things get dangerous." In space above Earth, the alien refugee fleets began to move away. They were going to distant galaxies where they thought they would be safe. Most of them believed they would never see humans again. But on 1,000 worlds across human space, volunteers were stepping forward to join the Guardian network. They were soldiers and scientists, farmers and factory workers, teachers and students. They came from every human colony, every human ship. Captain Jake Morrison sent a message from Terra's Pride. "Madam President, my entire crew has volunteered for Guardian duty. We're heading to the nearest station." Similar messages came from across human space. More people volunteered than there were Guardian stations to operate. In the ancient ruins, Paul Watson had become something new. His consciousness now spread across multiple star systems, coordinating the awakening weapons. When he spoke, his voice came from speakers throughout the Guardian network. "President Santos," Paul's voice said, "the network is coming online. We can see the Devourers now. There are more of them than we thought, but we're ready." Maria looked at the screens showing the approaching enemy fleets. They looked like a dark cloud covering the stars. "Paul, are we going to win?" "I don't know," Paul replied, "but we're going to fight. And that's more than this galaxy has seen in 1,000,000 years." As the first Devourer ships entered human space, the Guardian network came fully alive. Ancient weapons that had protected the galaxy before began to power up. And for the first time in galactic history, someone was choosing to stand and fight instead of running away. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin. Admiral Lisa Blake stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiance, watching as the first Guardian station fired its weapons. A beam of pure energy reached across space and hit the lead Devourer ship. The massive enemy vessel shook and began to break apart. "Direct hit," reported Lieutenant Amy Davis, who had transferred from Terra's Pride to help coordinate the Guardian network. "The station on Kepler Prime is reporting successful activation." But Lisa's celebration was short-lived. The Devourer fleet had hundreds of ships, and humanity only had 47 stations activated so far. "Admiral," came the voice of Paul Watson through the network speakers, "we need more time. Each new station requires a human volunteer, and the merging process takes 6 hours." Dr. Sam Rodriguez was working frantically at his station, studying the Devourer ships. "Admiral, I'm seeing something strange. When our weapons hit them, they seem to learn from the attack. The second ship we fired at took less damage." "They're adapting," said Chief Science Officer Nina Brooks from her position on Earth. "Just like the ancient records warned. The Devourers learn from every battle." Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through the communication system. He was at Guardian Station 7, preparing to merge with the network. "Lisa, we're seeing the same thing here. But the Guardian network is learning too. Every time we fire, every time we fight, the system gets smarter. It's like it's remembering how to fight these things." Lisa made a decision that would save thousands of lives. "All ships fall back to defensive positions around the Guardian stations. We're not trying to win this battle. We're buying time." Commander Ben Carter, leading the human fleet, understood immediately. "Copy that, Admiral. All ships protect the stations while they activate." The space battle that followed was unlike anything humans had ever seen. The Devourer ships were massive and powerful, but they moved slowly. Human ships were small and fast, darting between the enemy vessels like angry insects. Fighter pilot Sarah Miller was flying her ship around a Devourer vessel when something unexpected happened. Her fighter's computer began talking to the Guardian network directly. "Sarah," came Paul's voice in her cockpit, "I can link your ship to the network temporarily. You won't merge permanently, but I can guide your weapons." "Do it," Sarah said without hesitation. Suddenly, Sarah could see the battle from 1,000 different angles. The Guardian network shared its knowledge with her, showing her exactly where to hit the Devourer ship to cause maximum damage. Her small fighter weapons, guided by the ancient system, cut through the enemy vessel like it was made of paper. "This is incredible," Sarah said. "It's like the ship is flying itself." "Not flying itself," Paul replied. "Flying with help from everyone who has joined the network." Across the battlefield, more human pilots requested the temporary link. Soon, the entire human fleet was fighting as one unit, guided by the collective consciousness of the Guardian network. But the Devourers were learning too. They began to focus their attacks on the Guardian stations themselves, trying to destroy the ancient weapons before more could come online. On Guardian Station 12, Marine Commander Kate Sullivan was preparing for the merging process. She had volunteered to become part of the network permanently. "Kate, are you sure about this?" asked Dr. Alex Turner, who was still studying the ancient ruins. "Someone has to do it," Kate replied, "and I'd rather it be someone who understands what we're fighting for." As Kate placed her hands on the merging interface, she felt her consciousness begin to expand. Suddenly, she could see through the sensors of dozens of Guardian stations. She could feel the thoughts of every human who had joined the network. "Kate, welcome," said Paul's voice, but now she heard it directly in her mind. "How do you feel?" "Different," Kate replied. "But still me, still human." "That's the beauty of the system," said another voice. It was Lieutenant Tom Baker, who had merged with a station near the front lines. "We don't lose our humanity. We become more human." Kate quickly understood what he meant. The Guardian network didn't just connect the stations and weapons. It connected the people operating them. Every human who joined the network shared their knowledge, their courage, and their determination with everyone else. "I can see all the Devourer ships," Kate said. "There are more coming, hundreds more." "Then we'll activate more stations," Paul replied, "and we'll keep fighting." Dr. Rodriguez, still studying the enemy from his position on the Defiance, made an important discovery. "Admiral Blake, I've figured out how the Devourers work. They don't just destroy planets and ships. They consume consciousness itself. They're feeding on the thoughts and memories of every species they've encountered." "What does that mean for us?" Lisa asked. "It means every species they've destroyed is still alive inside them, in a way, but also trapped forever." Nina Brooks, monitoring the battle from Earth, saw the implications immediately. That's why the Guardian network was built. It's not just a weapon system. It's a rescue system. The precursors knew that the only way to truly defeat the Devourers was to free all the consciousness they had consumed. In the network, Kate felt a new understanding flowing through her mind. "The alien species that ran away," she said. "They're not cowards. They're trying to preserve what's left of galactic civilization." "But they forgot something," added Paul. "You can't preserve civilization by running away from the things that threaten it. Someone has to stand and fight." The battle was turning in humanity's favor. With 60 Guardian stations now active, the network was powerful enough to destroy multiple Devourer ships at once. But Kate could see through the network's sensors that this was just the beginning. "Admiral Blake," she said through the communication system, "we're winning this battle, but there are thousands more Devourer ships coming. They're spread across the entire galaxy, consuming everything in their path." "How long do we have?" Lisa asked. Maybe a week before the main fleet arrives. But Admiral, I can see something else. The network is sending signals to Guardian stations outside human space. Stations in alien territory that have been sleeping for millions of years. Can we activate them? Lisa asked. Only if we can get human volunteers to those locations, Kate replied. The network covers the entire galaxy, but it needs human minds to operate. Captain Morrison, now merged with Guardian Station 7, added his voice to the conversation. I'm seeing the same thing. There are stations near every major alien population center. The precursors built this network to protect everyone, not just humans. President Maria Santos, listening from Earth, made another decision that would change galactic history. Admiral Blake, prepare every ship we have for long-range missions. We're going to activate Guardian stations across the entire galaxy. Madam President, that means sending our people into alien space. We don't know how the other species will react. Then we'll find out, Maria replied. But we're not going to let the galaxy fall because we were too afraid to help our neighbors. As human ships began to spread across the galaxy, carrying volunteers to distant Guardian stations, the alien species that had fled to other galaxies received an unexpected message. It came from the Guardian network itself, broadcast on every frequency in every language. This is the Guardian network, protectors of the galaxy. We are human, and we are here to help. The Devourers will not win. Not today, not ever. Come home. Your galaxy is safe now. In the hidden refuges where the alien species had taken shelter, leaders who had given up hope began to listen to reports from the galaxy they had abandoned. The impossible was happening. The humans weren't just surviving the Devourer attack. They were winning, and they were doing it not just to save themselves, but to save everyone. 1 year after the galaxy abandoned them, humanity had changed everything. Commander Tony Hayes stood in the main meeting room on Earth, looking at the alien ambassadors who had come to restore diplomatic relations. The Zephyrians sat in there, crystal chairs, their blue skin shimmering with nervous energy. The crystalline beings floated in their energy forms, making musical sounds that the computers translated into words. Even the ancient Void Walkers had sent representatives. Commander Hayes, said the Zephyrian ambassador, we want to thank humanity for saving the galaxy. We also want to discuss restoring our old trade agreements. Tony looked around the room. These were the same species that had abandoned humanity when the Devourers came. Now they wanted to pretend nothing had happened. Ambassador, Tony said carefully, we appreciate your thanks. But things have changed. Dr. Nina Brooks, now partially merged with the Guardian network, spoke from the screens around the room. Her consciousness existed in multiple places at once, but she could still communicate with individual people. The network is now fully operational, Nina said. We have activated Guardian stations in every major system across the galaxy. The Devourer threat has been eliminated. Eliminated? Asked the crystalline ambassador. You destroyed them all? Better than that, said Captain Jake Morrison's voice from the network. Jake had chosen to merge completely with the system 6 months ago. We freed them. The alien ambassadors looked confused. Tony explained what humanity had learned about the Devourers. They weren't just destroying civilizations, he said. They were consuming the consciousness of every species they encountered. Millions of years of memories and knowledge trapped inside those ships. The Guardian network did more than fight them, added Dr. Sam Rodriguez, who was still studying the recovered data. It broke them open and freed all the consciousness they had consumed. We've been in contact with species that were thought extinct for eons. Impossible, said the Voidwalker representative. Not impossible, said Paul Watson's voice from the network. Just difficult. The precursors designed the Guardian network not just as a weapon, but as a liberation system. Every battle we fought, every Devourer ship we destroyed, We saved the minds trapped inside. Tony walked to the big windows that looked out over the rebuilt cities of Earth. In the sky, he could see ships from dozens of species, not just the ones in this room, but ancient races that humanity had freed from the Devourers. The galaxy is more diverse now than it's been in millions of years, Tony said. Species that were lost are returning. Technologies that were forgotten are being rediscovered. And it's all thanks to humanity, said the Zephyrian ambassador. We want to return to the old ways, with humans as junior partners in galactic civilization. Tony turned back to face the ambassadors. This was the moment he had been preparing for. No, he said simply. The room fell silent. The alien ambassadors looked shocked. No? Asked the crystalline being. You abandoned us when we needed you most, Tony continued. You ran away and left us to face the Devourers alone. We stood and fought not just for ourselves, but for the entire galaxy. And we won. But surely, said the Zephyrian ambassador, now that the crisis is over, we can return to normal relations. Dr. Nina Brooks answered from the network. Normal relations would mean humans returning to junior status. That's not going to happen. The Guardian Network remains under human control, added Kate Sullivan's voice. We are the protectors of this galaxy now. We welcome all species back, but on new terms. Tony handed each ambassador a document. These are our conditions for restored relations. Trade will be equal, not charity. Research will be shared, not hoarded. And the Guardian Network will never again be forgotten or ignored. This is outrageous, said the Voidwalker representative. Humanity is one species among thousands. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. We're not dictating, Tony replied. We're offering. You're free to refuse and leave again. But if you stay, you follow the new rules. Admiral Lisa Blake's voice came through the speakers. She was now commanding joint human-alien fleets that patrolled the galaxy's borders. Ambassadors, let me be clear about something. The Guardian Network covers every inhabited system in the galaxy. Every planet, every space station, every trade route is now protected by humans who chose to sacrifice their individual lives to become guardians. We don't rule the galaxy, added Captain Morrison from the network. We protect it. There's a difference. The crystalline ambassador made a sound that translated as confusion. But what do you want from us? Nothing, Tony said. We want you to live free and safe lives. We want you to explore and discover and create beautiful things. We want you to be the best versions of yourselves. And if we refuse these terms, then you're free to go back to your hiding places in other galaxies, Tony replied. But you'll be going alone. Most of your people want to come home. It was true. Reports from across the galaxy showed that most members of the alien species were already returning to their home worlds. They were tired of being refugees. They wanted to rebuild their civilizations. Think about it this way, said Sarah Miller, who now served as a liaison between the network and the regular military. For millions of years, whenever the Devourers came, everyone ran away. The galaxy became smaller and smaller as more species fled to distant places. But this time, added Marine Commander Kate Sullivan from the network, someone stood and fought and won. The galaxy is big again. There's room for everyone. President. Maria Santos appeared on the main screen from her office. She had been listening to the entire meeting. Ambassadors, she said, we're not angry with you for running. We understand why you did it. Fear is a natural response to overwhelming danger. But we've learned something important, Maria continued. Running away doesn't solve problems. It just moves them somewhere else. The Devourers would have found you eventually, even in other galaxies. So we offer you a choice, she concluded. Join us in building a galaxy where no one has to run from danger, because there will always be protectors standing guard. Or leave and hope you never encounter another threat you can't handle alone. The meeting lasted several more hours. The alien ambassadors asked many questions about how the new galactic order would work. They wanted to know about trade regulations, territorial boundaries, and research-sharing agreements. But the most important question came from the Zephyrian ambassador near the end. What happens if humanity becomes corrupt? What if you decide to use the Guardian Network to conquer rather than protect? Tony had expected this question. Then you stop us, he said. The network makes us powerful, but it doesn't make us invincible. And more importantly, it makes us connected to each other. Every human in the network shares their consciousness with all the others. Corruption becomes impossible when your thoughts are open to thousands of other minds. Dr. Brooks added from the network, we've become something new, still human, but also something more. We remember what it was like to be afraid and powerless. We'll never inflict that feeling on others. 3 months later, the galaxy had its answer. Every major alien species chose to accept humanity's terms and return to their home worlds. Trade resumed, research projects restarted, and exploration began again. But now, when survey ships encountered unknown dangers in distant systems, they weren't alone. The Guardian Network could respond instantly to any threat. Human consciousness, spread across thousands of star systems, stood ready to protect any species that needed help. Admiral Blake, now commanding the largest fleet in galactic history, sent regular reports to Earth about the new missions they were undertaking. Human ships, working alongside alien vessels, were exploring regions of the galaxy that had been abandoned for millions of years. President Santos, Lisa reported, we've discovered 17 new species in the Outer Rim systems. All of them are eager to join the galactic community. Any signs of new threats? Maria asked. None so far. But if we find any, we'll be ready. In the Guardian Network, the merged consciousness of thousands of humans continued to grow and learn. They shared knowledge not just with each other, but with the freed consciousness of ancient species recovered from the devourers. The galaxy had become a place of hope instead of fear. Species that had been enemies for millennia were working together on projects that would have been impossible before. Technologies that had been lost were being rediscovered and improved. And at the center of it all, humanity stood guard. Not as rulers, but as protectors. They had refused to abandon the galaxy when everyone else ran away. And now they would make sure no one would ever have to run again, Captain Morrison, speaking. For the entire Guardian Network sent a final message to all the worlds of the galaxy. This is our promise to you. We will stand watch while you sleep. We will fight while you live in peace. We will sacrifice so that you never have to. The galaxy is safe now, and it will remain safe as long as even one human consciousness remains in the network. The age of running is over. The age of Guardians has begun.